This video is going to be the first 3 problems from your handout in class, and what I want you to do with it is use it after you've attempted the problems or if you get stuck with the problems. Alright, so here's number 1. If you notice on the very bottom of the first fraction, you have v. And so what you're going to want to do is multiply every single one of these terms by v. Okay, so remember, the whole point of doing this is so that you can get v and v to cancel. You're trying to get rid of the bottom. Alright, now you're also going to want to get rid of anything else that's on bottom. So that would have to be this guy, this 5. Okay, so also multiply everything by 5. Alright, so what that accomplishes is it crosses out that 5. Alright, so what you're going to be left with, you're going to be left with a 5 multiplied by v plus 2. In the middle term, everything on bottom crossed out both of these things. So the only thing you have is a 1. And then at the very end of the equation, the only thing that you have is 1 times 5. Okay, so you can either write 1 times 5 or that is 5. Alright, so now let's do a little bit more work. Distribute. That is 5v plus 10 plus 1 equals 5. Well, nobody even needs a calculator for that. 10 and 1 make 11. So that's 5v plus 11 equals 5. So we're kind of digging back to our 9th grade year. Solve this equation. What you're going to want to do, you're going to want to subtract 11 from both sides, which gives you 5v equals negative 6, and divide both sides by 5, and we will come up with our final answer. V is negative 6 fifths. Okay? Now what you're going to want to do is check this with your restrictions. Okay, which I forget all the time to write these down. You probably want to do this at the very beginning. V is not allowed to equal 0 on this particular problem because I'm going to ask myself, when does this equal 0? And it would be if v were equal to 0. Okay, so that is your first problem. Hopefully you did well with it, or this video helped you kind of get through it. Alright, so on to example 2. Alright, so you have one of those cases where you have one fraction equals to another fraction. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cross multiply. Okay, so I'm going to set this thing up. Alright, so now I'm going to cross multiply. For those of you that like to use box when you multiply, draw a box. Or for those of you that like to do what I'm doing with your distribution, just distribute. That should give you 10x squared. 5x times 3 is 15x. 2 times 2x is 4x. And 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, I know it's been a while since we've really been practicing this, so don't do your first and your last, but remember to do all of it, or draw your box. Okay, so I'm going to do this one a little bit faster. That is 10x squared, negative 80x, negative 3x, and positive 24. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and simplify this by adding some like terms together. Alright, so what you should get is 10x squared, 19x plus 6 is equal to 10x squared minus 83x plus 24. Okay, so at this point, I hope you've noticed that you have this 10x squared on both sides. So if you subtract it from one side and subtract from the other, okay, it basically disappears. Okay, now what you're left with is just some x's on either side and some numbers on the other. So get your x's on one side, your numbers on the other. You should be able to solve this pretty easily. Okay, so if I do this, alright, so what I would do is I would add 83x to both sides. Alright, those cancel, and this gives me 102x plus 6 equals 24. Alright, so we're pretty close to being finished now. We just need to divide both sides by, or actually, we need to get rid of this minus 6. Okay, so that would cancel. That gives me 18. Alright, and what I was about to say, now I'm right. I need to divide both sides by 102. Okay, because now that gives me that x that I want. And now you can use a calculator if you like. You can start simplifying this by yourself, but I know that this is the same thing as 3 over 17. Okay, or you can write that as some ugly decimal. Doesn't really matter to me, but the fact is that that's your answer. Okay, you'd want to check with the top part of your fraction again. Okay, up here, or the bottom part of your fraction I meant. Okay, what your x value is not allowed to equal. Your x cannot equal 3 over 10 or negative 3 over 2. And since it isn't one of those values, okay, that means that's really our answer. Okay, so this is our answer. And hopefully y'all are being a little bit better than me. I really forget to do this at the beginning of every single step. And it's just because I know that I need to do that at the end, but really you should probably write it down first so you don't forget. Okay, so final problem. What you're going to want to do to even begin the problem is factor this. Okay, and what that factors to is x minus 10 times x minus 2. Alright, so just like every other problem that you're going to do that's a rational problem, you're going to want to get rid of this stuff on bottom. So because of this guy, start multiplying everything by x minus 10. Alright, so what that helps us do is gets rid of those. It also gets rid of this. Alright, and if you notice, you still have this x minus 2 that's on bottom here and here. So we still need to multiply by x minus 2. Alright, so now that you've done that, canceling anything that cancels. Okay, so all of this and all of this cancel. Okay, these cancel here. You might want to just darken this up so you really don't forget something that canceled. Alright, and so now we're left with something that's kind of easy to solve. We have 2 times x minus 2, alright, minus 3 times x minus 10, and that equals 6. Okay, so now we just need to multiply. Alright, so we're almost done. That's 2x minus 4 minus 3x plus 30 equals 6. Okay, you have some like terms here that you need to put together. That's a negative 1x, and then you have some like terms here. That's positive 26. Alright, get your x by itself, which would mean you need to subtract 6, or 26, leaving with negative x equals negative 20. Alright, now you can either multiply or divide by negative 1, it doesn't really matter because either way you're going to get that x equals positive 20. Alright, you'd want to check that again with your constraints or your restrictions from the very beginning. So I need to hide or unhide those. We would have to know that x could not equal 10 or x could not equal 2. So that means that this is our answer. X equals 20. Alright, hope this helped, and good luck.